IUPAC nomenclature. Now we want, as part of the basis that we want to actually accumulate before starting the main topics in chemistry. And one of the important things is that we are going to be meeting a lot of compounds, a lot of mixtures, a lot of chemicals, and who has names, which has names, right? And we need to be able to, at least as a beginner, we need to know how to, the rules that comes with naming these compounds, so that whenever we meet any of the compounds inside there, or whenever you hear of this name, we'll be able to get the structure, and from the structure we'll be able to analyze whatever we want to analyze in the chemical reactions. It's very important to know how to name basic compounds, basic molecules, basic structures, and identify them. So which is what we are going to do this playlist for that. And IUPAC nomenclature of inorganic compounds. So we are going to break down this into pieces for you guys to understand what this actually means. You remember when we were doing the physics? So if you watch the physics playlist, we started with introduction to physics. There's a portion where we talk about the standard unit, SI unit, and we said scientists around the world came together to accept that this units are going to be their standard. That's for all scientists in all fields. But if you go to biology, they also, if you come specifically to biology, they have a rule for naming their biological stuff. If you come to chemistry as well, they also have a rules. They also have a rule for naming their structures. So IUPAC nomenclature is that part of the chemistry, right? We say the SI unit is for all scientists, but then if you come to chemistry, we have IUPAC nomenclature. If you go to biology, you have biological nomenclature as well, and biological classification things over there. But in this session, we are going to look at, since we are doing chemistry, we are going to focus on the IUPAC nomenclature. IUPAC nomenclature is also like a global acceptance, a global agreement on naming, standard naming of structures in chemistry, especially elements and compounds. Right, so we are going to break that down into detail. Okay, so what is IUPAC? This is what IUPAC means: International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So these are people that came together, and then they form a union, and they are the one that actually govern this whole thing. They form like they have standards that all chemists around the world must apply to, and they do a lot of research there. So this union is what the IUPAC stands for. IUPAC is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. The next term is nomenclature. Nomenclature refers to the set of rules for naming substances. So if you go to biology, as I said earlier, you have biological nomenclature, and then chemistry, you have IUPAC nomenclature, right? So naming something. So whatever the field that you are in, there we have if you have nomenclature, meaning there are some setup rules, setup standards that must be followed in order to name certain substances, depending on the field that you have. Here we are doing chemistry, so it's going to be IUPAC nomenclature, meaning IUPAC is the one behind this set of rules for naming substances that we have accepted so far. The other terms in the definition is going to be inorganic compounds. Inorganic compounds. So inorganic compounds are just basically, these are bases, right? They are specific, there are exceptions always, but then the very basic definition of inorganic compounds is the chemical compound that lack direct carbon to hydrogen bonds. Carbon to hydrogen bonds. For example, if you take water molecule, for example, you have H2O. There's no carbon to hydrogen. You see carbon dioxide, right? There's no carbon to hydrogen bond direct. There's no direct carbon to hydrogen bond, right? So this is an inorganic molecule. This is also an inorganic molecule like that. Someone will say, what about H2CO3? So H2CO3, you have hydrogen here, you have carbon here. But then the thing is, if you do the structure of this bond, right, these two hydrogens are not bonded to carbon. They are not bonded to carbon. They are bonded to the oxygen. That's why I'm saying there's no carbon to hydrogen, direct carbon to hydrogen bonding inside. That's the basic thing that you can use. So H2CO3 is an inorganic compound as well. right? Yeah, but if you here the hydrogens are bonded to the oxygen. If you do the full structure, when we get there, you get the full structure. So that's why I'm saying that the basic thing that there's no direct carbon to hydrogen bonding. So you basically call them inorganic compounds. So there are compounds that yes. So NH3. If I give you NH3, is it an organic or inorganic? Basically, it's inorganic, right? If I give you CH4, yeah, carbon to hydrogen, so it's organic. Organic. Remove the in, then yes, organic. We will talk about the organic naming, but here we are going to focus on inorganic, a very basic one. We'll go to do an organic chemistry, then we'll talk about that. So that's fine. So we understand the inorganic compounds now. Yeah, that's what we are basically going to do. Chemical compound that lack direct carbon to hydrogen bonds. So say direct. Okay. So meaning there can be hydrogen and carbon inside the compound, but then the bond is the bond between carbon and hydrogen directly. Yes, that will be the question that we need to answer before we classify something as hydrogen, as organic or inorganic. We'll look at that later on. Then, yeah, these are the categories that we'll be looking at. These are the categories that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at how to name ionic compounds. We'll be looking at how to name molecular compounds, and then we'll be looking at how to name acids. Acids. So ionic compounds, ionic, so ions inside, right? So we first start with naming the ions. If you name the ions, you know how to name all the ions. Then we'll now go back and combine the ions, right? Both the positive and negative ions together to form the ionic compound. So when we form the ionic compound, then we name the entire structure now. Now we should be able to name all the entire structure now. Then I will go to molecular compounds. Yeah, they are just going to be dealing with molecules. Mostly substances here are formed from non-metal. Only non-metals are bonded here, right? Yeah. And then we go to acids. Acids are these inorganic substances that start with H. They start with hydrogen. Inside, and then the rest of the compound can be. This is the rest of the compound, whatever it can be, right? And then those substances are aqueous. They are aqueous. Then we call it acids. So we'll go into that more, but right now we are just introducing the concept. Yes, so now you understand what IUPAC is, you understand what nomenclature is, you understand inorganic compounds. Then you know, look at the category that we are going to look at. We are going to start in the next session now that you have idea of what we are going to do. Let's start the journey.